Yeah, it's under more. Okay, so we're recording. And Lori McGraw had asked from Etowah Creek asked to make sure we would have it recorded as well. All right, and I don't know about any of the guys, the folks from Edisto, but it is and is Jack on? Jack is on. Chip is jumping on. I'm going to mute George over there. Or maybe it's somebody else we need to mute. Everybody could just mute. That'd be great. All right, thank you. We'll go ahead and get rolling. I don't see Jack, but it is 6:33. And when Jack pops up, if I don't, Jack, are you on? No, he's not. Okay. So if I don't see him, let me know. Welcome, Chip. And welcome, Crystal.
Hi, guys.
All right. Well, we're going to get rolling then. I'll go ahead and facilitate that in Jack's absence. I have the agenda on the screen. I'm going to stop sharing just for a minute. And we'll do, I have a little flag here. Actually, it's not popping up, is it? There it is. It's down. I have this background. Okay, there it is. Okay. If we could just pause for a minute for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. With that, we'll get rolling. Want to welcome, particularly Cap Rivers has 4 people represented so far, and then 5 with Tucker. So technically Tucker, I guess we can, even though formally right now he's covering all the districts. He effective August 1 will become the DE for Cap Rivers. And we have a report from Tucker in this meeting tonight, as well as a few other items. The real point of this is to, on a regular basis, review membership. We've heard recently from bankruptcy subside, so will the pandemic start to subside, and people are screaming to get in the out of doors with their families. And scouting needs to be there when that happens. And so we as a local council need to be prepared for that, to address the challenges that we've had related to retention. Now we focus on recruitment. And, you know, it continues to be for a lot of PACs and troops, PACs particularly, that they don't want to even think about recruiting. We got too much going on. And so that's a part of it. So we'll talk. So there's, so let's take a quick look at, we have to take this with a grain of salt, but I'm going to screen share the latest numbers. This is the KPI report. Some of you may be familiar with it. Let me find it. So there we go. Okay, so this is the current Area 5, the 10 councils that represent Area 5 and all of South Carolina councils and some of North Carolina. That structure will change after the annual business meeting of national organization in May to be a different, basically 9 or 10 or I think 15 other councils. But that's been our area. We're down at the bottom only because I think we're the highest council number 553. And so this shows the numbers compared to 2021 and then below it 2020. And then the first column of numbers is Cub Scouts membership, then Scouts BSA membership, venturing and exploring, and then the total membership. So we ended February with 3,336 Scouts and explorers. And then a year ago, that compares to 4,607. And that's consistent with the drop that we saw at year end. And we have to also keep in mind those, 95, 96% of our units recharter in December and then January. Those December units, if they didn't come back, if they didn't recharter yet, they will have dropped. They're still on the books here, but then they dropped on March 1. And so they're not reflected in the membership numbers because they're not registered on March 1. And so these numbers dropped in March, and I don't have them to bring up to you right now, but it's pretty abysmal. It's not just us, as you can see, it's all across the in this case, Area 5, but across the country, particularly in the area of Cub Scouting, where we dropped literally, as you see here, about half of our membership in Cub Scouting over the past year. That number and all these numbers are going to get, except for exploring and venturing, I would say, are going to get a lot worse because the rechartering. And as we reviewed at that unit outreach campaign report 2 weeks ago. So it's really important that we kind of monitor how rechartering is going, and everybody, I like to say it is all hands on deck, not just the commissioner staff, to help guide the units through that rechartering process. And that's why we're doing a literally out and out campaign for that, and unit outreach campaign. And that's why we hired Tucker to help guide us through that over the months of March, April, and May. And these other, those are, important indicators. These other are more lagging indicators where you look at market share and we see advancement numbers and such. For the purpose of this meeting, we're mostly looking at the membership. Okay, so we are looking at that. Are there any questions on that membership report? We'll see what March brings, right? The other, okay, Scott reports that we dropped over 1,500 scouts on March 1st because of rechartering. So that 3,300 number went down to 20, whatever it was, 2,800.
That was from December recharters, and April 1st will be January recharters.
That haven't rechartered. So, and then let's see. So with that, we have, let me pull up the agenda again. So that's the membership status. I've got to make Scott Scott, I'm going to look for here so you can screen share. Scott's going to guide us through just a report on that, particularly for the commissioners, but really all hands on deck, everybody. How is the retention on going as they recharter there? Let me trying to find Scott's name. There it is. And so we have a tool that I know at least all the commissioners have access to, that's on a SharePoint file, and we can certainly get anybody on this in this group access to it, and it just kind of guides us through how rechartering is going, and it's literally it's ongoing. It's on the spot to see at any given time how things are going. Scott, I've screen shared with you. I'm going to stop sharing, and if you could just touch on that, because that isn't, there's two ways to grow in scouting. One is you keep the kids in it, you retain them, and then the other is to recruit them. We'll touch on recruiting in a bit, but let's take a look at the retention and how we're doing on rechartering.
Yeah, this is the SharePoint folder with the rechartering status. There may be some that have changed in the last 24 hours as this changes daily. So this is what I had as the latest and greatest. Again, it may have changed, but you still see a lot of yellow. I know in Capitol Rivers, there's still some that we're working on. I know the fire department post, we're still working through them. They turned in some paperwork, but they still had some things missing. So got to go back to the drawing board with them and try to get that. Longleaf, we're still working on those. And I won't go through all these individually, but If I've missed something, just send me one in the chat and I'll double check it and change it. So
Well, Scott, what is it with East Minster? I mean, there's, that's a
yeah,
huge.
they just haven't turned their, I know Tucker has been in contact with them. They've
I
got their
have
stuff.
something. I talked to Flynn Bowie, and he actually said the problem was that the online recharter was messed up, and he has been talking to council office, and so they haven't been able to move forward. So just to be clear, that was the status there.
That one's news to me. So I know that, like I said, Tucker has talked with the PAC, and they were scheduled to come in there and kind of finish that with him, and they had to cancel. So let's see.
I honestly don't think the pack is meeting, by the way. That's usually our biggest pack in the.
Generally,
And I was referring to the troop. You're right.
yeah. I know I've been in contact with Dan about the crew. They're working on that. They did turn in their the pack and the troop, got that in. So that's in the works. Just going down through some. Again, some have turned in have submitted online, but they haven't brought the final pieces to the office.
I'll reach out to 224 now.
Do what?
I'll reach out to that pack right in this second. I'll do it
Okay.
now.
Like I said, a lot of these that, they're just some that haven't started the process, and some that have done online, they just haven't completed the process by bringing it in. This one, I think maybe in, I just got to check on that. I think it did come in. We've got some of our posts in Chinkopin that are being contacted. Going back to Capitol River, just a FYI, there is a unit that's not listed on here because it dropped last year, is going through their recharter process. So we'll actually add a unit to the list. Actually, two of them. There'll be a post and a troop 82 and post 601, I believe is the. So they kind of dropped off the list, and now they're coming back on. So. Which is a plus. Let's see. 29, we're still working on that one. 30, I'm working through that. Just kind of getting through them. I don't think they've been meeting at the center there. There's a couple, again, that have turned in information, but they didn't turn in all their information. So they kind of dropped some and left. Again, some are just haven't got their paperwork together. Some, again, turned in the information, but just haven't paid. So no fees at this point for 332. Again, a post here. They're just some of the posts we found that didn't meet for a while, and now they're trying to get back on their feet. So some of them are taking a little while to get going again. ISTA doing pretty good. They've got, I know we're working through some missing applications and things. I know I've talked with Ron about that, and he's been pretty good about getting that together. So just trying to work through 190s and 90s here, and we'll get those and get that squared away. Etowah's looking pretty good there. It's got a few that are still working through some of these. One thing we're still finding, we'll always get, once we get some of these turned in any of them, we'll have somebody's missing use protection or disclosure form. So we have a lot of those that we've been making contacts from the council office side and getting those together. So Watery's just got a few, they've got a few that have started, but just haven't turned in their paperwork, and some of their posts that just haven't got their final things as well. So that's kind of where we're standing. We still got a long ways to go, I think, but we're making a lot of headway. A lot of good people calling, but just working them every day is what we're doing. So.
Scott, thank you for that report. Are there any questions for the group related to that? Or for Scott group? I'll say that Heather is our registrar. She has two folks helping her, depending on what the project might be. One is Risa Cunin. The other is Brittany Halls. And all three of them are in the office during our hours that we're open. Similarly, we've gone back to just a great help to us and specifically to Heather in getting through this. What we've done is contracted with the Greater New York City Council to provide the data entry for our membership registrations and our advancement. And they also do the criminal background checks. That's a big burden off of us. We had been having the national office provide that service for a fee, but they eliminated that service back in August when they basically eliminated all out of positions at national. One of the really good people there that was working on that project at national was hired by the Greater New York Council to provide that service to other councils. And so, and we waited, I waited like 7 or 8 months before they, to see if they're really doing it properly. And it's great. It's a great service that we have contracted with them starting March 1st. We contracted with them to provide that. And they've got a few people on their staff that does the data entry. Now, when that's done, they scan it and send it back to to Heather and to the respective field staff members, Scott or Michael or Tucker, or and they'll copy me, basically saying, hey, this is defective and here's the reason why. And that's recorded on here as that goes along, just so folks know kind of that process behind the scenes getting this stuff done. And so that will be significantly streamlined with their help, which frankly, in reality, really just started last week. We contracted with them March 1 and had some good onboarding work with them. Thank you, Scott. I want to just reference the agenda again. The next section we want to touch on is the outing and scouting incentive. And it's really something pretty exciting. Went to a donor whom I felt would be interested in this. And the concept is this. We're at a time here, particularly focused on Cub Scout packs, where you saw locally and nationally, Cub Scouting membership dropped in half, in significant part because the packs are just struggling so much to meet and to do activities in person. And so we got, if that doesn't happen with our Cub Scout packs before May, we all know that most of the packs kind of shut down anyway during the summer. And they might go to day camp, they might go to an activity, might go to a Blowfish baseball game or something, but we want to give them an incentive really to put the outing back in scouting in a way that's safe. And that is, that's the number one thing is to be safe. But also that's what scouting is all about. Even though Cub Scouting has, since 1933, when it was formed as a home and family centered program, well, most of our families say, hey, he's been home long enough. We want to get we want to get out there. And so we want to recognize units, all units, not just Cub Scouts. We're going to recognize units for putting the outing in scouting, and also and given, and so those units that have already been meeting during the month of April, we're going to have an incentive for you to keep doing that, to meet in person, to have an activities in person. And if you do that, we're going to have a recognition for those units. And it's going to be very simple. I'll touch on that in a minute. But similarly, if they haven't been meeting, here's a real incentive. Listen, before the summer starts, you should meet. You should have an activity in person. And so it's both an incentive and a recognition for units. And I'm going to pull that up now. And we're calling it, at least I think, and this is a real first time we're rolling this out, but it looks like we're going to call it the Outing and Scouting Incentive. And where is it here? Here it is. Okay. Indian Waters Council, a 250, at this point, it looks like it's going to be a $250 stimulus package that we're going to stimulate scouting, get the outing and scouting. And so to get a unit $250 stimulus, step one, complete your unit's recharter. The charter renewal is so important. And in other words, what we're saying here is, hey, to get this incentive for your unit, you got to be registered. If you're not registered, we're not going to recognize you. So this is accomplishing really three different things. Number one, it's getting units to recharter if they haven't already. We just saw that list. There's a lot of units that if you do it, you can get $250. Even more than that, if you wanted to use your $250, we're going to assume that you go through that process. You can use the $250 to recharter. Additionally, of course, you can, as always, you can use, you can apply for special assistance. You can apply for assistance to help get your unit rechartered, but you're not going to get this money unless you're rechartered, unless you're registered. That's step one. And so many of them can already check that box. They've already done it. Step two, hold just simply during the month of, it doesn't say it here. And so Tucker may, or Michael, maybe we put hold an in-person activity or meeting in April. Okay. And so many units are already doing this. We know this is kind of dumbing things down, but hey, we want to make this an easy thing that, again, is a recognition and an incentive. So hold an in-person activity or a meeting. And then the final step, step three, just take a picture of it. And with a description, post it in two places, both on the hub, and we'll have, details to keep that simple, and post it on social media. That description and that picture can go a long way, particularly when it comes from a unit leader or other leader or a parent. And we're going to ask that, and that doesn't say that on here, but we do want, and you can tell we're just putting this together, folks, but we know that we can do $250. But we're also going to ask that this be tagged when you put it on social media. We're going to have a list of media that you can tag, like WIS, hashtag WIS, and so just by tagging that, and some of us don't even know what tagging is, which, and I appreciate, but it's basically posting a picture on Facebook or Twitter or Instagram with a link that we provide to the media. And that way the media's got to pick up this. We hope to have lots of units take advantage of this and get $250. And so Tucker, as the unit outreach coordinator, is going to monitor this. And every time that something is, again, we were asking, post a picture on the hub and on social media. He's going to just look at the hub and say, okay, yep, Troop 5 has just posted that. I'm going to facilitate getting the $250 right into their unit account. Now, we've had a lot of discussion. Should we put it into the unit account? Should we just cut a check? That kind of thing. We feel like this is going to be, in part, frankly, the number one thing is that it's easy. It's just easy for everybody. Hey, you get $250 more when that happens, and we'll notify the unit that gets it. And that $250, just so everybody knows, in a unit account can be used towards the scout shop. It can be used towards summer camp. It can be used towards any activity of the Indian Waters Council. It can be used towards Merit Badge University, whatever it might be. It's in your unit account. That's what the unit account is for scouting activities. And the deadline to do all that is the month of April. So we're just rolling this out tonight. We haven't rolled it out, and you can tell we still have a couple of tweaks to it. But that's something that we have a donor. And this is not like, your Friends of Scouting dollars going. This is somebody that said, this is so important to me to get our units going. We're going to make this happen, this anonymous donor. So we're really excited about that. And yeah, I mean, it's not the greatest thing in the world, but it's something that accomplishes really what we're all about at the council. And when I say council, I mean everybody on this call, not just, the people at the Scout Service Center. We're all council. And here's something that we're all about, really trying to help the units. And in this case, help them get out and do what we know scouting is all about, the outing. Are there any questions that I can answer at this time related to this? I'm happy to. Or comments.
Just let us know when we can start sharing this out.
Yeah. Yeah, you can let people know that it's coming, but let's not, share this thing yet. Just say, hey, looks like, if you do, just say, hey, looks like this is coming. But we have found just recently that, for example, there were 2 different forms last year with a popcorn recognition thing. And so when we have different things that are outdated, get out, that can be a problem. So this is not for publication yet, but it will be in the next couple days, literally. And so, because April 1st is coming around, and we want to encourage people to put the outing and scouting in the month of April. Good points, Joe. Thank you. Anybody else? With that, I'm going to introduce Tucker Shealy. We hired Tucker, as I mentioned, just a few weeks ago to start be a point person for a campaign that's really hits to what we're talking about here. And that is, first of all, reaching out to each and every unit and say, how's it going? I'll let him share what his dialogue has been and his approach. But it's been to bolster the efforts of everybody on this call, and certainly to bolster the efforts of our units in keeping scouting going at this time. And so with that, Tucker, as y'all know, he graduated from the University of South Carolina in December. He's an Eagle Scout from the Blue Ridge Council, was on camp staff there at Old Indian, but then for the last 8 years, he's been on camp staff. This will be his 8th year this summer. He'll be again for the 3rd year in a row as program director, but 8 years on camp staff at camp. What camp is it again?
Daniel Boone.
Oh yeah, Daniel Boone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Daniel Boone has about over 6,000 campers, to put it into perspective for everybody. So that's a big project. And when he finishes with that tour of duty, he'll be coming back full time with the council on April 1st as the DE for Cap Rivers. Tucker, go ahead.
Thank you for the introduction, Mr. Stone, and I appreciate the warm welcome to the council. I have thoroughly enjoyed my position as a unit outreach coordinator thus far, and that's because I've spent the vast majority of my time talking to unit leaders from across the council. And so just to kind of put that into perspective, according to my calculations, I may be off by 1 or 2 units, but it looks like we have around 141-ish units in the council. I've reached out to every single unit in the council personally via email at least one time. So every single unit in the district, in each of your districts, should have an email from me. In that email, I introduced myself, talked a little bit about the unit outreach campaign, and then requested that they schedule a time to talk with me briefly about their unit. So the reason that I was doing the scheduling approach rather than cold calling everyone was simply because I wanted to be courteous to everyone's schedules. I understand that this is a busy time for everyone, and with my office hours being between 9 and 4, that's not exactly a great time for most to speak with me. So I've been doing my best to accommodate any scheduling needs for those conversations across the board. And thus far, I've actually talked to 57 units in the council. My average phone call time is around 45 minutes to an hour, so I've had a really good opportunity to speak with units across the council to see, what they're doing, how their unit's been doing, and really just I've been on a massive information gathering mission thus far, and it's been really great. And so I kind of wanted to take this opportunity to tell you a little bit about how that's been going. Like I said, I've already talked to 57 units in the council thus far, and I have 12 more conversations scheduled for the next week and a half. With that being said, like I said, every unit has received an email from me, at least one. I've also followed up with an additional email for units, particularly in the Capital Rivers district. And I'll be following up with additional emails for all the districts as well. It just takes some time to email every single unit. With that being said, if your unit has not talked to me yet, and you know that, have them schedule a call with me, or just give me a call or shoot me an email, because I definitely want to talk to them. And with that being said, if I have not talked to you personally over the phone, I would really like to do that as soon as I can. So expect to get a call or email from me very shortly. I think I've contacted just about everyone in this group. But if not, my email is tucker.sheely@scouting.org. I'd love to hear from you if you haven't heard from me. I'm finding out that some of the contacts on my contact spreadsheet are outdated, so you may be one of those folks. So if you have not received an email or not received a call from me, that is an error on my part, and I would like to speak with you as soon as possible, because I'm looking forward to getting to know everyone, not only in the Capital Rivers District, but also in the council. With that being said, there are three major concerns that are, pretty much trends that I'm finding throughout all the units in the district or in the council. And those top three concerns happen to be new membership, and that is like recruiting. It's particularly when it comes to PACs. A lot of our PACs are really concerned about, the loss of scouts we've had because of COVID. And a lot of that loss has come from just the necessity to have virtual meetings, which is not very engaging for those younger scouts. So that's one of the biggest concerns. Nearly every unit that I've talked to is concerned about recruiting in the fall. The next biggest concern, and this is something I think is really concerning for me personally, coming from a smaller unit in a rural town of Newberry, is that there's a lot of units, and again, particularly Cub Scout PACs, that are struggling with having the adequate number of leaders that they need to operate and operate well. Oftentimes I'm finding that a unit will have, an adequate number of adult leaders who are registered with their unit, and they'll maybe have enough parents there to have a meeting in accordance to YPT, but they don't have as many active, parents or otherwise adult leaders in their unit to really make this work. And so I'm finding that a lot of, especially the Cub Masters in our council, are really, pushing their PAC along almost alone. So, finding ways to increase our engagement with families and parents and kind of recruiting more adult leaders in our units, I think is going to be paramount going forward if we want to have the program in place to sustain such a membership drive that we, will be working and anticipating in the fall. The third thing that I'm finding is that, especially for the Cub Scout PACs, but also with the troops, a lot of units are struggling to meet simply because they can't meet due to their charter organizations policies around, folks being in their facilities. And so with that being said, virtual meetings are still a challenge for a lot of people, particularly when it comes to keeping those virtual meetings engaging and, retaining scouts, even though they're having to meet virtually for the most part, if not exclusively. So those are the three really big things, or the trends that I'm finding, is that recruiting, adequate adult leadership, and then, basically keeping their virtual meetings engaging are the top three concerns that I'm finding so far. Now, of course, I've only talked to 57 units thus far. That's, of course, out of 141. But those, nearly every unit that I've talked to has at least one of those concerns in mind, and that's what they're expressing to me. So that may be useful information for all of you going forward as well, to take back to your districts. My job as a unit outreach coordinator is to identify where support is needed, and then really work with those units to facilitate the resources they need getting to them. And so a big part of my mission thus far has been identifying where those resources are and identifying who is willing to help and to what extent. So if you yourself, or of any units in your district who are particularly keen on helping out other units, particularly in those areas I discussed, I would really like it if you would reach out to me or talk to me about that. I have talked to several units that do, again, have, for example, adult leaders who would be willing to step in at another unit to help them sustain the program. But my biggest thing right now is realizing or finding where those resources are, and then figuring out how I'm going to mobilize them to help those units who need support. So again, if you know of any units in your area that would be willing to help us out, or if you would be willing to assist me in finding those resources and kind of channeling those to the units who need support, I greatly appreciate that. I'm still gathering information, but the biggest takeaway that I've had from this unit outreach campaign And, the 57 conversations that I've had over the phone is that I think that our council is truly blessed to have such enthusiasm from the adult leaders that we do have here. I have been a part of, as Mr. Stone mentioned, I was a scout from the Blue Ridge Council, and I also work very closely with the Daniel Boone Council in Asheville. And I mean it earnestly and genuinely when I say this. I don't know that I've ever seen this kind of enthusiasm from adult leaders that I've found here in the council. So we have a lot to be proud of, and we have a lot of really good resources in terms of people here on the ground who are doing everything they can, to make the scouting mission work and continue to move in the Midlands of South Carolina. It's just identifying where those folks are and figuring out how they can help other units as well. A saying that I've been thinking a lot about is it takes a village to raise a child. And in the same way, it takes a village to keep the scouting, program moving in this time. So again, I encourage you all to, reach out to me or reach out to units who are in your area and just see how you can help out, because I think every unit just about in our council it needs some sort of support in some way. And the best thing we can do right now is pull together to help each other out and, kind of put our unit loyalties and allegiances aside and really work together to make scouting work across the council. But again, I really appreciate the opportunity to be here. It's been a pleasure to meet you all and to talk with you about this campaign. If you have any questions about that or would like to talk with me some more about what I've been talking about in this brief report, please reach out to me. Again, my email is tucker.sheely@scouting.org, and my office phone number is 803-750-9848. I'll shoot that to the chat as well in just a few minutes. But again, thank you all for what you're doing, and I'll have another report for you guys at our next meeting.
Tucker, thank you. We appreciate you making all those calls and doing this. One of the things that I want to mention is that Tucker's job is to really, as I said before, his job is to help us. And one thing that I don't know if you're doing this, so I'll just put you on the spot. Are you like, I know that we've got district chairs on this call, we've got district commissioners and other commissioners and committee members. Do you have like all those 57, for example? I mean, if I were one of these folks, I'd be saying, can I get a list of the 13 units that, you reached out to in my district and how those calls went and who you spoke with? And that would be extremely helpful, Tucker. Can you kind of, do you have some sort of spreadsheet that summarizes your calls and stuff, or?
Yes, sir. Yeah, I've been taking detailed notes of all my conversations I've had with folks, not just on their problems, but also what's going well for them. And so I've been taking those notes down in the spreadsheet, and I'm developing a report basically to get to you at the end of this campaign. But I'd be glad to send that information out to the commissioners of each of our districts as well, or whoever else would be interested. Because I agree with you. That'd be really valuable. So
Maybe
I
was just going to say, maybe try doing it, not waiting until the end of May for this report. Maybe do it monthly or something that might make it easier for you and give you some structure to get it done. And then we'll get it out to all the districts, those related. Yeah, Joe?
Tucker, have you been able to talk to any units that aren't currently rechartered and don't have any yeses? Have them talk to them, and then are they going to be able to recharter?
Yes. So I have talked to many units like that who just, either have some, maybe the online process is done, or even some, like you mentioned, that don't have any of the process done. And so what I'm finding is a lot of those units are having issues, whether it be with communication to parents or whether it be with meeting times. It seems that when you have a unit, at least from my findings so far, that when you have a unit that has not done any part of the recharter, there's a deeper issue there than just them not being on top of it. It has something to do with maybe, like I said, their availability to meet or go on outings, or even, what their membership prospects are like after COVID and having to do virtual meetings. So, yes, sir, I have found, several units that are like that. They just don't have any part of the process done. But what I'm finding is that typically is because they're struggling, they need support. And so, I'm working to provide that support so that they will, feel confident in rechartering. Some of the units that come to mind might be ones that, again, have charter organizations that aren't allowing them to meet or stuff like that. But yes, sir, Those units that have not rechartered at all, I'm working with them to verify if they don't plan to recharter, and if they do plan to recharter, they'd be open to it. Working with them to get the support they need so that they can feel like they can recharter and have a program.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Any other questions for Tucker? Probably the best way for us to communicate some of those findings as we go along here, Tucker, will be on SharePoint. And so Scott's going to get with you and touch base and just put that up on SharePoint as
Yes, sir.
when you're ready to start doling that out. Okay. This unit outreach campaign is not just, obviously Tucker's role is to help us do our jobs. And I think it's something that certainly the membership folks on this call, but we've invited commissioners and others on it. Does anybody have any other things to report from their districts as we continue to really work to reach out, not just Tucker, but all of us, and try and get the rechartering done, trying to find out what are the health concerns of the units. And because really what I'm going to end the meeting with sharing with some of the activities which we're aligning that information up with we're trying to align advancement, trying to align the trainings that's going on, and certainly the activities and camps to meet the needs of what we're finding in this unit outreach campaign. Does anybody else have anything else to share related to that unit outreach?
Doug, I have one thing that I just want to take a quick minute. I want to introduce someone real quick who may care to say a few words themselves, but Crystal Marks has joined us tonight on the Zoom call. Crystal Marks is one of our newest VISTA members. For those of you who don't know, our AmeriCorps VISTA program is a program we've had with this council for several years now. And it's a program that focuses specifically on unit outreach and recruitment, helping to bolster our efforts. As all of you know, we are a small council with typically a small staff. And so having these VISTA members on our staff as well helps us kind of be in multiple places at once and handling different recruitment, retention avenues for just all of our districts, but typically with a focus on our harder to serve units and our harder to serve communities and areas. So some of you have heard from Crystal already. She sent out a few emails last week to introduce herself and kind of give a brief description of what she's going to be doing. Kind of the best way to kind of think about it is that she will really be almost acting as a unit commissioner in her VISTA role, but specifically helping Tucker with reaching out to units to figure out how best the council can serve them with their recruitment and retention needs. Continuing that through the summer over the course of her VISTA year, and then also assisting Tucker when Tucker is here full time, because Capital Rivers is of course a very big district with lots and lots of units, and so definitely the more help that we can put in that district, the better. But Crystal, if you just want to take just a quick minute just to introduce yourself a little bit further than what you said in your email at the end of last week, the floor is yours if you want to take a few minutes.
Sure. Thank you, Michael. So yeah, as Michael said, I'm a AmeriCorps VISTA member, and I'll be acting as a unit commissioner. I apologize if there was any confusion in some of the emails I sent out, but I'll be kind of a unit commissioner slash liaison between Capital Rivers and Indian Waters. So I'll be there to sort of be an extra pair of eyes and ears, take, feedback, information. If anyone has any issues, I can relay it back to my office, or if anyone has any good things to say, I can relay it back. So I'll just sort of be a liaison and a friend of Capital Rivers. And this is my second time doing AmeriCorps VISTA. I also graduated from USC like Tucker. I graduated last year, and I'm currently getting my master's degree at Columbia College. It's a little about me.
We appreciate it, Crystal. Thanks so much for what you're doing, and we look forward to a great rest of your service with us.
Crystal, thank you so much for what you do and what you will be doing for the council. We are blessed to have you involved with it.
Thank you.
To wrap things up, I'm going to just mention that, as you may know, summer camp is really booking up. We got 600 campers either registered or in the till to pay. We had put into perspective the last time we ran Scouts BSA summer camp 2 summers ago, in 2019, we had 507 campers. We had 400 the year before that. And we had 700 signed up for camp last summer. And so we know that this number will continue to go up. It's still only middle of March, towards the end of March now, but that is a reflection of the good work our camp's leadership is doing, camp staff, and with Scott's help and with David Lund's as a VP of camping. And so that's going to continue to go up. We're really excited about that. It's also a reflection of people want to get the outing and scouting. MBU, as somebody mentioned, is, I guess it's booked. I didn't actually realize that. Scott's nodding his head. Scott,
It's
could you
fully
just,
booked.
Merit Badge University, fully booked for Scouts BSA. That's going to be at camp. And then Scott, could you just touch on this? Because I don't think we've really said much about it, but it's coming up in April, this one-day Cub Scout program at Barstow.
Yeah, the Cub Fun Day, and that's just basically what it is. It's a day to get out and outdoors and scouting, and spring is here, and let's get them outside and do some fun things. Parent and son, sibling, if they're wanting to come with them, just to get them outdoors, doing some BB, archery, some crafts, some games, fishing. We've got, I know David Lund and his crew with our, they're the region fishing crew, so they're gonna do some fishing programs with them. And we're also, if you know the calendar, that the 22nd is actually Arbor Day, and I know Doug is kind of spearheading this thing in South Carolina with this power plant, South Carolina. So that's part of that. We're going to do that day as well. We're going to do a service, little easy way to do some service, and that Cub Scouts can do is just plant a tree, and it'll be just a seedling, and they can do that and be part of something big. So we're going to do a lot of fun things. Hopefully we'll have great weather and get them outdoors with mom and dad, or just mom and son, or mom and daughter, whoever. So we got Cubs having fun, basically.
Scott, what day is that? And what
24th of April.
we got?
at Camp Barstow.
24th of April at Camp Barstow, Cub Fun Day. Is there a fee?
It is, it's $5. The link is live currently, so it's ready to sign up. So
Okay, good. Well, we got to get some more promotions out there on that too. I know
we'll
you're
be
working.
seeing some more stuff tomorrow at Roundtable, and some more stuff going out tomorrow about that, and Cub Resident Camp as well.
Terrific. Terrific. How about Cub Day Camp?
We've got some things we're still working out on, some details on that. We've had some issues with leadership and some locations as well. So we're
Okay.
on hold right now with some of that.
Okay. Are there any other questions or concerns or comments for the good of the order? All right. Let me just ask, this meeting is the membership meeting for the council. It's great to have, I want to thank everybody because all 5 districts are represented. And I want to ask if you could pick somebody else to join you if you're going to be on this meeting. It's going to be every month except for July and December. It's going to be the last Tuesday of every month. And actually, I'm not sure if it's the last Tuesday because we still have one more Tuesday, don't we? But it's this 4th Tuesday of every month. And when you get that notice next time, send it to everybody in your district committee. Say, hey, there's some good stuff that's going on. We want to help spread the news about that, and it helps, I think, people in their job. So it'd be great to have one other person from each district. Will double the amount of people. Will double a lot of what we got here. So bring someone else along at the next meeting, and good luck with everything with your scouting endeavors. And thank you so much for what you're doing. We appreciate it very much, everybody. Have a great night.
Thank you, Doug. Take care. Enjoyed it. See you later.
Thank you.